Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and today I am in the new library and I am so excited to be here. And I actually have a little book haul for you. I just recently got to go to Oregon, and while I was in the state of Oregon, I went to a few bookstores that I had never been to before, actually. So I used to live in Oregon back in the day, and I used to go to a bunch of different places like Powell City of Books, those sorts of stores, but I had never been to these bookstores before. And so I found these ones and I went and I checked them out, and a huge shout out to Wallace Books in Milwaukee. That store, if you are in Oregon and you are used book hunting, go to Wallace Books. They were so amazing. This is some footage of Wallace Books. Like, it was literally like a maze. Like, you were walking around through the store, seeing all the different areas. They had a whole room dedicated to middle grade and YA and kids books, and they had tons of fun stuff. And I found so many great books there. We also went to the Book Corner, which was a Friends of the Library store, which all the proceeds for that went to one of the local libraries, which is really cool. And then also we went to a combination store of, it's an old store, Jan's Paperbacks, and it combined with another store, the Arcade Exchange. And so they combined forces, and it was kind of easy to tell they had combined forces because the two stores had merged, but it was like their inventory wasn't totally merged. They had like stuff in different areas that was the same thing. So there was like a small kids room in one spot that was like literally you had to duck to get into it. Like, I couldn't stand up in that room. It was like under a staircase or something. It was really cool because I found some awesome books there, but it was a little confusing to navigate. So I think they're gonna iron that stuff out because they just recently merged, I think a couple of months ago. So they're probably trying to figure out all their inventory and get it all set. So I was super excited to find all these books. I did find some Goosebumps stuff, and I've got a stack of Goosebumps that I will be sharing about in my next Quest for the 62 episode coming very soon, actually, because I have a few Goosebumps books to talk about that I've read and that I have found recently. So without further delay, let's get into the books. So first up, I was so excited because while we were at Wallace Books, someone was actually bringing in a trade-in of a copy of the Del Rey edition of the Royal Book of Oz, which I do have. This book right here was the one that someone was trading in, and I said, oh, do you have any other Oz books? Because I had not seen any Oz books anywhere. So I was thinking, oh, maybe they have some somewhere, or it's just in a spot I wasn't looking, because literally that place was wall-to-wall books. And one of the workers said, hey, let me show you where they are. We have a ton of Oz books. So I followed the worker back to the room, which was in the kids' room, and I don't know how I missed it, but it was under a bunch of like parenting books. So underneath all these parenting books, there were 2 shelves of Oz books. A bunch of them I had, but quite a few I did not. And now I do have a complete set of Del Rey L. Frank Baum Oz books. So let me show you what I found. So first I got book number 9, The Scarecrow of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I was super excited to find this one. This is one I never had growing up, actually. So I was really excited they had this one, and it's a pretty good little copy there. So that is book number 9, The Scarecrow of Oz. And then I also found book number 10, Rinkatink in Oz, which this one's such a fun story. So I was excited to find book number 10. And then I also found book number 12, The Tin Woodman of Oz. And then I also found book number 13, The Magic of Oz, which this one was always such an interesting book to me. I remember really liking this one and thinking it was so different from the other Oz books. And then I also found book number 14, Glinda of Oz, which completes my set. And I was thinking, it's so funny how she is wearing pink in this photo, just like Ariana Grande is in Wicked, wearing pink all the time. Kind of an interesting thing on the cover art there. And then I also found a couple of other Oz books. Now, I actually used to have a copy of this book, but I don't know why, but I didn't have it for some reason. I have looked for it. I don't know what happened to it. but I did find this copy of it and I was so excited. It is a copy of Return to Oz, a novelization of the film. And this is one of my favorite movies. I was so excited to find this copy there. And it has inside of it a bunch of full color photos from the movie, which was super cool. So I have actually never read the novelization, but I was so excited to find it, and now I will have to read it. And then I also found a brand new Oz Adventure book. This is a series of books from Random House that came out right around the time of Return to Oz, actually. So this is Ozma and the Wayward Wand. These are very short little books from Random House, and there are 5 of these total. I've read all 5 back in the day because I remember getting these from the library. I only ever had the one that was Dorothy and the Magic Belt. I never owned any of the other ones. So I was so excited to find a copy of Ozma and the Wayward Wand. And then moving on from Oz, I found some more Murder, She Wrote books. So I found Murder, She Wrote, Blood on the Vine, which there is a skeleton face way back there. If you can see right there, there's a little skeleton face on that house in the back. And then I also found A Palette for Murder, which the artwork there is the skull. And then I also found some of your favorite problematic series and mine, more Berenstain Bear books. I actually found quite a few I did not have, which I was very excited about. At Wallace Books, they actually had a whole crate of Berenstain Bear books, so I was digging through that thing to see, is there any that I don't have? And they had a few. So first off, I got a book that actually a few of you have been asking me to do a review on, and that is the Berenstain Bears Accept No Substitutes. So I am going to read this one soon and I'm going to review it because I know a couple of you have been asking me about this book. So I now have it in my collection and I'm going to read it very soon. And then this is actually one of the more rare Berenstain Bear big chapter books. This is the Berenstain Bears Go Platinum. And I actually do not believe I've ever read this one. So I am super excited. This is like an ex-library copy. So it's in a hardback, which is very interesting. It's a little beat up, but like I said, this one's a little harder to find. It can go for up to $33 online. So I was really excited to find it for like $2. So I'm curious to read it and see what the storyline is. And then I also found the Berenstain Bears and the Wheelchair Commando, which I know I've read this one way back in the day, but I don't remember what happens in it. So I'm gonna have to read it and find out. And then I found another one of the Berenstain Bear Scouts books that I did not have, and that is the Berenstain Bear Scouts Meet Big Paw. Now, this copy is a little bit beat up on the sides there, but I've got this now. I do have this one, I believe, in the Berenstain Bear Scouts Treasury bind up, but now I have it in a separate copy. And then I found another Lad Family Adventure, which this is like a Christian book series that's like mystery adventure kind of stuff. And it's set all in Hawaii, which is, I think, one of the selling features of the series, because not a lot of series were written back in the 90s that were like kind of set in Hawaii like that are like mystery adventure kind of stuff. So this is Eye of the Hurricane, book number 9 in the Lad Family Adventure series by Lee Roddy. And then I also found another Young Indiana Jones book. Now, if you follow the channel, you know there are 50 billion different series of Young Indiana Jones. So this is from the Young Indiana Jones series that was the middle grade series that is brand new stories about Indiana Jones. So not based on the TV show, the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. It is its own series with original stories. So this is Young Indiana Jones and the Plantation Treasure, written by William McKay. This is book number 1 in the Young Indiana Jones series, which I was really excited to find. So never read this. I am excited to read it and see what happens. And then I found another Adventures of the Bailey School Kids books. And I was just laughing when I saw this, but I thought, oh, I gotta grab it. It's another Bailey School Kids book. And it is book number 27, Boogeymen Don't Play Football. So this is another one of those Bailey School Kids books. I'm excited to read it. And then I found another Clue book, which some of these are hard to find, some are easy to find, it just depends. But this is Clue number 10, The Screaming Skeleton, which I have read this book way back in the day. I got these all from the library back when I was a kid. So I'm excited to reread these. And then I was just discovering this series the other day when I was down a Peg Kehrt rabbit hole. I was thinking about Peg Kehrt books, looking up different ones she's read, and I realized, oh, I've never read any of that series. What is this? She wrote a series called Frightmares, and this is book number 3 in the Frightmares series, and this is Don't Go Near Mrs. Tally. So these are they look like they're spooky mystery kind of stories, like a little more on leaning to the mystery side than the spooky side, but they are called Frightmares. So I am very curious to read this. I've never seen any other ones of these out in the wild, so I'm excited to read it. I love Peg Kehrt. If you have never read Terror at the Zoo or Danger at the Fair, read those. They're so good. They are classic 90s, basically it's like a 90s slasher without the slashing, and for kids, and they're so well done. They're so great. I love those, so I'm excited to read this. And then I found another Deadtime Stories, which I found recently, Deadtime Stories number 17, Fairy Tale, which is very hard to find. And then I found this one as well, number 16, Night of the Pet Zombies. So I am slowly getting close to completing my Deadtime Stories collection, and I have just a few more, and actually some of the ones I have to find are not hard ones. So I was very happy about that. So this was another one. And then I laughed out loud when I saw this book, and I almost put it back, but I've never read it, and I've read the other ones in this trilogy, and so I decided I gotta get it. So this is a book in the Magic Shop series by Bruce Coville, Jennifer Murdley's Toad. And I cannot wait to see what is happening exactly in this book with this toad that's maybe talking or singing or something. I mean, it says, what do you do when your talking toad has an attitude? I will have to find out. And then I picked up 2 more Bruce Coville books. So I picked up 2 in the My Teacher's an Alien series, and this is book number 2 in that series, My Teacher Fried My Brains. I always remember seeing these covers when I was a kid, and I was always so curious about them, but I just, for some reason, never read them. I read a ton of other Bruce Coville books, but I did not read these ones. So I am excited now. I have the whole, spoiler, I have the whole trilogy now. So I will have to read these and find out what happens. And as I just spoiled, I did get book number 3, My Teacher Flunked the Planet, which I love the cover art on this. It's so awesome. These minstrel books that up there on the top, they're just so cool to see the coloring that they did and just the 90s vibe of all of these. So I'm excited to read this trilogy. And then I gasped out loud when I saw this book because I hardly ever see these in the wild. And that is a Deep Space Nine Star Trek book, number 12, Trapped in Time by Ted Peterson. And this is such a clean copy of this book. I was so excited to find it. I've been slowly collecting these, and I've read one so far in the series, and it was so good. I absolutely loved it. So I cannot wait to read this one. And then, okay, so story time. So when I was younger, my brother had the bind-up editions of this series. There were 2 bind-ups, 3 books in each one. And so I have read the bind-up ones. I've read them before, but I have seen out in the wild a few times the individual copies of these books. And I saw a bunch of these at one of the stores we were at, and I decided, you know what? I kind of want the individual ones from the 90s. The bind-ups are a little newer, so I thought, I really want those old ones too. So I got 4 of them. So the first one I got was book number 1, The Glove of Darth Vader in the Star Wars Jedi Prince series by Paul Davids and Hollis Davids. And these are so wild. This one is about whales and stuff. It's wild, but it is a lot of fun. Especially, these were written back before any of the new Disney Star Wars stuff, so it's a whole different storyline of what happens after Return to the Jedi, but it is a lot of fun. I love these books. And then I also picked up book number 3, Zorba the Hutt's Revenge, which These are just so wild, but they're so much fun. I really enjoy them. And then I also picked up book number 4, Mission from Mount Yoda, which this one does have a little tear on the cover. There were a couple copies of a couple of the other ones, but this was the only copy, so I went ahead and grabbed it. But I remember really liking this book, so I'm excited to reread these. I've actually reread books 1 and 2, and I need to reread now 3 to 6. And this is book number 6, Prophets of the Dark Side, which this was such a great conclusion to this series. I really enjoyed it, so I can't wait to reread these. And then one other sci-fi book I picked up, which I was super excited to find because I've been looking for this for quite a while, and I finally have it, and it now completes my retro editions of this series. I love these books. This is C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy, and this is the 3rd book in the series, That Hideous Strength. At some point, I'll have to do a video on these books. I read these a long time ago, and I will admit, book number 1, Out of the Silent Planet, is very slow, and I'm sorry if people don't like this, but I think it's very boring. But I did read it. I read the whole thing. It's the shortest one of the series. And then you have book number 2, Paralandra, which that book I feel like really gets cooking about halfway through, and it's like, wow, this is amazing what you're doing. And then book number 3 goes off the rails. Like, this book has like Merlin in it. It has giant brains. It has Martians. It has like the spookiest scene I ever have read in a book. Like, it has so many wild things. And it just, I don't even know how to explain it. It also talks about Numenor from the Lord of the Rings. So it's just, this book is out there, but it is a fun trilogy to read. There's a lot of fun stuff happening in it, and I do recommend it if you like weird old time sci-fi. Read these. These are not like Star Trek or Star Wars. It is really like that old school sci-fi kind of story. So there's all kinds of wild things that happen. So definitely check this out. But now I finally have my retro copy of it, and it's a really great condition. I was super excited to find it, and it's going to go with my other 2 retro editions of these books. I have a newer set of these as well, but I love the covers on these old ones. And then last but not least, I finally picked up, so I actually had this book, and I think someone borrowed it, and I don't know who, and it's been years since I had it. So I found a paperback copy. I did have a hardback copy of it, but okay. But I found a paperback copy of it, and it was like $1. So I thought, you know what? I love this series. It is one of my favorites. It's so good. And this is book number 2 in the Hunter Chronicles, The Legend Thief by E.J. Patton. Now, as far as I know, there's only ever been 2 books in this series, and it could have gone on. But book number 1 is incredible. It is worth a read. I love that book so much. This book was a worthy follow-up, but I liked book number 1 better because book number 1 was just wild and had like so many climaxes and like so many amazing moments that you just like, your mind is just blown like from all the pieces coming together. So this one, it's a chunky fantasy, middle grade fantasy book, and it is a lot of fun. I so enjoy this series. So that is all the books that I got on my recent trip. Oh wait, one more. So my family got me this for my birthday, actually, and this is a copy of Weird Illinois, which if you've read any of these weird books, you know that these collect like strange stories from different states, like different locations that are like haunted and like monsters that are local legends, things like that. It even goes into like just oddities, like odd things that are in the state. So I have one now for Illinois, and I'm so excited to have it because I was actually at the bookstore with my brother who knew that he was getting this for me. They had gotten this for me already, and they knew that I was getting it. And I was talking about like, oh, we should look and see if we can find Weird Illinois, because we were finding Weird Wisconsin and Weird Oregon and a bunch of different ones. And so we were like, oh, let's look. And my brother's like, yeah, let's look. and he knew that I was getting Weird Illinois. And so they got it for me, and I'm so excited to have this one on my shelf as well. If you've never looked at the Weird books, definitely check them out. They're a little hard to find now because I think a lot of them are out of print, but they're super fun. They just have so many great like stories and like a lot of art of different kinds of things, like just all kinds of wild stories. Like I said, they show you like these weird places that are in the States. So this is a lot of fun. So that is everything that I got on this recent book haul. I hope you enjoyed these. Have you read any of these? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd be super curious to find out. And until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.